to more Sherlock Holmes. One should listen to mostly my intelligent guide. First thing how long is this is where I left off, I believe.
So, we have a thug who came to take a refugee woman with him. She resisted, but he dragged her by force. One of the refugees stood in his way, armed with a stick, yet he could do nothing against a cutthroat with a blade. The man didn't anticipate that the other refugees would intervene and stand against him. In the confusion, the woman managed to break free. The thug took fright and fled. He was stopped by the falling crates. He stumbled and fell, piercing his chest with his own blade. However, the wound didn't cause instant death. He managed to stand, but still bleeding, he lost his balance on the bridge and fell. Before all of this, the man had freely entered the camp through the main entrance. Police admitted him after they had a short smoke together.
You live by the sword, you die by the sword. In our man's case, it's the same sword.
You still here?
Inspector, I believe I can aid your investigation. I know who the dead man is and what really happened here.
You do? Well, good for you. But I'm afraid I'm not the one you need to share your findings with. Speak to Mr. Harlow here. He's the one responsible for settling things in the camp.
You don't even care to listen?
Oh, I do care. And maybe even more than I need to. But I'm only here today to lock the place up, question witnesses, and file the facts. It's sad, but coming up with conclusions is not among my tasks here. You fellows at City Hall do that. Anyway, speak to the supervisor. I'll just stand by and listen to what you have to say. I've already told you all I've learned. I've already told you all I've learned. I've already told you all I've learned.
The guards at the sewers were speaking about taking refugees out of the camp. Do you know anything about this, Inspector?
Less than you do, obviously.
And this doesn't bother you as an officer of the law?
I can neither punish them nor put them on the right track, if that's what you're asking. Maybe your friends at City Hall could do something about it, but I seriously doubt that. To be honest, I'm sick and tired of being frowned on for my uniform. If those fine gentlemen you've eavesdropped on are in some shady business, that's on their heads. I'm busy. Don't you have papers to fill? City Hall lubberheads.
Mr. Harlow, your refugees didn't murder anyone.
What? Pray tell me what you've learned.
All right, listen carefully. This might solve one problem for you, but will create a few more.
Oh, well, that's a great start.
The man came to the camp intending to kidnap one of your refugees, a woman. What he didn't expect was that the refugees would stand up to protect the woman. A brawl had broken out. In the chaos of it, the man stumbled over those crates and fell on his own blade.
How do you know he fell on his own blade?
The wound in his chest was inflicted from an unusual angle. It was not an offensive stab, shall we say. The refugees didn't touch him. And judging by the blood at the scene, the intruder managed to raise himself but was unable to walk very far. He ultimately fell into the canal.
But how did he sneak into the camp? Why didn't the police see him?
And this is where your new problems emerge, Mr. Harlow.
What do you mean?
You're not a dull-witted man. You know what I mean. There is no feasible way to get into the camp without the police guards knowing of it.
The pile of mess I had to sort out has just become bigger, but somehow that doesn't surprise me. Anyway, I thank you for your help, Mr. Holmes. I'll take it from here. Meanwhile, I'll make sure the police aren't detaining the refugees any longer. You can go back in and look for your witness.
You think one small clerk can make any difference in this place?
Who knows, John? Just one ill-fitting cog could make the whole machine crumble.
Alright. Henchman. It's still glowing.
You're the one who tended to our man's wounds. I thank you greatly. The police didn't allow us to help him.
The police will leave you alone now. I've proven to them that the man who came into the camp died due to his own foolishness.
Thank you for standing up for us. But nobody would help us without a reason. You're here because you want something.
Yes, I do. I need to speak with the girl drawn here.
The dead man came for her too. He wanted to take the girl away, but we won't allow her to be hurt again. What do you want from Naylor?
Naylor. She was hurt some time ago. I'm here to find the people who did this and bring them to justice. And to find them, I need Naylor's help. Will you let me speak to her?
Justice. There's no justice on this land. But you helped us, so maybe your words are not empty. You can speak to Naylor, if she wants it. But I will be watching you.
Hello, Naylor? My name is Sherlock. I know someone hurt you. I am here to help. I'm trying to find the people involved and bring them to justice. Please. There is a photograph, and I'm sorry, it is terrible, but I simply must ask. Where did this happen? What can you tell me about these people? Christ, Sherlock. Naylor, I'm sorry. I'm not very good at this.
You come here for me, but you are rude and cruel and condescending. A cross. The man had this cross. Now go away. Leave us be. I do not need another white man's help.
Racist bitch.
Oh, glad that wasn't me.
Not my best work, John, by a long shot. Naylor doesn't want us meddling. I'm starting to wonder what this all achieves.
But she helped you anyway. Now we know that maniac's face and the cross he wore, we can still catch him.
Okay, so he has a cross.
You still here? Go and bother someone else with this, son. Go and bother someone else with this, son.
The intruder has a most peculiar tattoo on his neck, 2 lines and a point. Do you know anything about it?
You really want to know, kid? Why? You want to play a policeman or something?
I'm sure you have it in your records, so it won't hurt if I have it in mine.
In my records, it's just a tattoo, as it should be in yours. Ah, to hell with you. Suit yourself as to what you're going to do with it. Off the record, though, such tattoos are often connected to a man named Mr. Niccolo Bernadotti.
Bernadotti, you say?
A respectable businessman in Scaladio. His company imports goods and wines, and smuggles everything that can be smuggled between the colonies and the mainland. His people can be identified by an obscure tattoo, just like the one over there our friend has. But these are all merely rumors, you see. If Mr. Bernadotte was a criminal, he'd be in prison now. Or hanged, right?
Smuggler,
I owe you a lot, Mr. Holmes.
alright,
Sherry, wait. You might want to settle all the matters in the camp before leaving. We probably won't be coming back here anytime soon.
I owe you a lot, Mr. Holmes.
You're disturbing a hornet's nest here, son.
Do you know anything about this?
They often take us from the camps to work. Most don't mind, though. It's the only way we get a glimpse of freedom.
pointer, some people is okay. What is your refugee?
So there's a smuggling ring in the camp. This wasn't the first time that someone freely entered the camp to take a refugee out.
At least it was certainly his last time. My gut tells me that we'll learn more about this ring when we find out where the thug came from.
Alright, that's done. Alright, now what?
Guests of Cordona, the treasures await you.
What a lovely man this Bernadotte is, eh, Sherry? Can't wait until we get to meet him. It seems they're not expecting guests.
I won't wait for an invitation, John.
These workers don't look like your average Cordona folk.
They're refugees from the camp. Can you satisfy my curiosity?
I'm not in the mood to talk to moneybags.
Shipped from Cape Town. The wine route from colony to colonies.
That's our way in, Sherry.
Hey, yo. This is private property. You lost something.
I'm here to discuss business with Mr. Bernadotte. I tried the front door, but...
Mr. Bernadotte isn't seeing anyone. You have 3 seconds to walk away or you'll never walk again. Capito?
It's in Mr. Bernadotti's best interest to...
One.
This guy's tempting me.
I did try to resolve this piece.
Oh, another fights, combat, whatever.
I'm coming. I'm coming.
Too simple.
I'm coming for you.
Don't bother moving. You've lost. Take a rest, my...
The snuff's ready.
Too simple.
Yeah, that's right. Chasing me.
It won't work this way.
I couldn't miss the party.
Don't bother moving. You've lost.
I am invincible.
You can overcome the brute now. Give him the pepper snuff.
Too simple. No more crime for you until next month.
The snuff's ready.
Don't bother moving.
Give him the pepper snuff. Time to knock this guy out.
No more crime for you until next month.
There we go. Let's go. Only ways guards so we either storm in or find a way. Oh, it's only Holmes.
Sherry, look. This seems familiar.
Let's see what's hidden there. Vogel's stolen painting. Isn't it curious how it developed into a much more interesting case? A Dogon statue from West Africa. A century old at least. Masks, traditional for the Chokwe people of Central Africa.
What else am I missing?
VH Grindley Flow Blue Tableware. This is what lies behind the facade of Bernadotte Company Limited. An amazing piece of culture. I imagine many collectors and museums would be interested in having it.
No, sir. Don't hurt me.
It's all right. I won't harm you.
Like you didn't harm the folks on the way here?
Don't come any closer. One step and I'll shred you to pieces.
Keep standing in my way and no one will ever see you again.
Righto. Yes. Yep. Well, excuse me, sir. I think I hear... I've got to... It's better I leave.
Whoa. Oh, wow. That was as if somebody put my words in your mouth. This is it. This is where all the magic happens.
He's trying to pick the lock. Yeesh.
I suppose it's Mr. Bernadotte with our fine governor. "1875. It was taken a few years back. John, how many people in Cordona have a photograph with the governor, do you think?
You definitely don't have one.
Please don't shoot me. I have a family. Spare me.
So, you've cut through all the guards just to talk to me. Then come here, and we shall talk.
Before I do that, let me just collect everything.
Whenever you're ready. I'd hate to intrude.
Cold-blooded. Married.
Niccolo Bernadotte, I presume? The name is Sherlock Holmes, and I'm afraid I bring bad tidings.
Is that so?
The man you sent to the refugee camp failed in his task. He impaled himself on his own blade. A clumsy and chaotic end.
For a man who just broke onto my property, you are more businessman than brute. You have my attention, Mr. Holmes. Do not waste it.
As I said, your man was found dead in the refugee camp. He was there to kidnap a woman, but the other refugees intervened to try and save her. The ensuing scuffle resulted in the man's accidental suicide. He sported the same tattoo as your men in this building. In fact, it also bears a resemblance to the one on your neck. Care to explain what business your man had with this woman?
You have no idea what you are talking about. I can assure you this was no kidnapping. The refugees in the camp are on edge. What happened there is a tragic accident, one I am not responsible for.
For what reason was your man there if not to abduct her?
Why would I answer? You are yet to justify your presence in the slightest.
Mr. Bernadotti, do you know the name Boniface Mercurio?
I do not.
Mercurio was a local artist. Recently, a man broke into his apartment, ransacked the place, and killed him. The thief was looking for something.
You are testing my patience, boy.
In a moment, the connection will reveal itself. I was hired, privately, to investigate the recent theft of a painting from an art gallery. My investigation led me to a man from your organization, and thus, to you, Mr. Bernadotti.
That is quite a stretch. Why would I need to steal a painting when I could buy anyone I wanted?
Interestingly enough, I spotted the stolen painting in your storeroom.
I buy and sell a lot of things, Mr. Holmes. Unfortunately, if this is true, it is not the first time I have been sold stolen merchandise. I presume you were hired by the owner of the gallery. Tell them to contact me, and we'll sort out the situation. So, this painting is why you broke into my office. So many words, so little action. When you barged into my office, Mr. Holmes, I got the impression you wanted to talk business. Now I see you had come just to talk. Tell me exactly what you want, or get out.
It was necessary groundwork for what comes next. I have enough evidence to conclude that the gallery thief, the artist's killer, and the dead man in the camp are all the same person.
Your time is almost up, Mr. Holmes.
Before you draw your gun, there is one final detail I am yet to mention. The young woman your man was tasked to collect from the refugee camp had been defiled at a perverse masquerade party. That violation was captured in a photograph by Boniface Mercurio and used as a reference for his painting. The photo shows the attacker's face.
Finally. That's why you're here, Mr. Holmes. You have the photograph.
It is what your man was after when he broke into Mercurio's apartment, and it is what you're after too, isn't it, Mr. Bernadotti?
You have the photograph with you. How much do you want for it?
I am not naive enough to carry it with me, and I am compelled to ask why you want it. Who is the man visible in the photograph? An associate?
Not yet, Mr. Holmes. Though with this picture, that may change. The man in the photo is a British envoy on Cordona.
What exactly do you want from him?
My business dealings are often arduous in their bureaucracy. A man in his position, willing to look the other way, could ease my work significantly. In return, I will make sure no one looks his way either. A favor for a favor.
Also known as blackmail, the modus operandi of any true professional.
It was not originally my idea. Mercurio set things in motion, extorting the envoy for the most trivial of ends. Money. In response, the envoy hired my man to retrieve the painting and the photograph, eliminating Mercurio's leverage. I only learned the whole story after the artist was killed in his home.
And rather than extricate yourself, instead you took over Mercurio's venture.
It fell into my lap. As a businessman, I simply seized the opportunity. Now, how much do you want for the image?
Why should I give you the photograph?
Just name your price.
What if my price were not money? You claim to have connections, Mr. Bernadotti. Perhaps you could improve conditions for the refugees. Give them a chance for a better life.
Ha! I do have connections, Mr. Holmes, but help the whole camp? You are asking too much. I could, however, make arrangements for one person. The woman who was violated will have her own home, outside the camp, solely for her and her child. She will no longer be a refugee, but a princess. That I can guarantee.
Is that really possible?
It will be neither fast nor easy, but I can do it. She deserves it, don't you agree? And as for her abuser, he will serve me, as much as he deserves.
So, in your plan, everybody will be given their due. Especially you, Mr. Bernadotte.
Seems like a fair deal, no? I doubt anyone could offer you better. Simply give me the photograph, and the world becomes a better place. I give you my word.
What makes you think you can decide what's best for these people?
Such is the arrogance of British imperialism. I take your point.
Near low is violated. Okay. I'm not gonna blackmail. Sheesh. This one.
The front door's now open, sir. You can leave through it. If you want, of course.
This is a hard decision.
Mr. Holmes, you've returned. Have you uncovered anything new about the theft?
I've brought news, but not all of it will please you.
Fill me in, Mr. Holmes. I won't shoot the messenger.
I tracked down Boniface Mercurio.
I presume he wasn't delighted about the situation.
He was not having a good day on account of his murder. Killed in his own flat by the same person that stole his painting.
Oh, sweet Mercurio. Perishing in the pursuit of his art. How apt. I will miss his exceptional sense of humor.
I located the thief, but found him rather cold. He was tight-lipped about the painting, too.
Huh, he's dead. How very droll, Mr. Holmes. One presumes you were not responsible.
It was an accident at the refugee camp. He impaled himself on his own knife.
Life is nothing if not cruel and capricious. What about the stolen painting? Have you located it?
I found the painting, but I could not retrieve it.
Well then, where is it?
In Bernadotti's office.
Bernadotti? That shady businessman? Why would he steal it from me?
I'm afraid you'll have to ask him yourself.
I take it you found something more then.
I found the source of Mercurio's artistic inspiration. A photograph. What troubled me was that the sexual act captured was non-consensual.
She was violated? Dear God, how despicable.
Her abuser was in fact the British envoy. Mercurio took a picture of him committing the atrocity and then used it as artistic inspiration.
I had no idea a mere break-in would eventually expose such barbarity.
Mr. Vogel, I want you to make everything public, including the photograph. I'm sure you have a connection at the Cordona Chronicle.
Ah, Mr. Holmes. Loyal to your own truth till the end. Yes, I'm acquainted with the staff of the Chronicle. The story is sensational, and will surely draw attention to the gallery. But you must be aware that exposing the scandal will further hurt the victim. Does that not bother you?
No matter what one does, the truth tends to come out, as well it should. I won't be the one to stand in its way.
Though it's only your subjective truth being exposed. Not that I'm judging. It's perfectly reasonable for everyone to have their own views.
When you called me, you knew exactly what you would get.
Oh, but I'm not like you, Mr. Holmes. I cannot be sure of anything. Regardless, I must thank you, for art's sake. Well, now that we've resolved all of our outstanding matters, I have a gift for you. I took the liberty of having it delivered to Stonewood Manor. I am told it belonged to your mother.
Previously, you mentioned there may have been more to my mother's passing than consumption. It appears you were right.
Oh, dear. I'd hoped to be wrong.
She was unstable, mentally unwell. She required sustained, specialized treatment, but her madness persisted.
I knew that Violet had disappeared from the public eye, but had no idea of her suffering. I cannot imagine what you're feeling.
I'm fine. And what exactly have you sent me?
Frankly, I'm not sure how to answer that. I trust you'll know.
Thank you, Mr. Vogel. I am curious to see what you have procured.
A lot of these cases are so long. So I have to go back to Stonewood Manor. See a person.
Mr. Sherlock Holmes, I presume.
Correct. With whom do I have the pleasure?
Emilio Estevaux, happy to make your acquaintance. I am here on behalf of Mycroft, your brother. He's on his way to Cordona. In the meantime, he requests your assistance with a sensitive matter. My orders are to provide you with the details.
You have my attention, Mr. Estevaux.
Mark Ridley, the son of General Arthur Ridley, is being blackmailed. Suffice to say, the compromising material is of a delicate nature. The matter is of no small importance to the Crown, especially given the status quo on Cordona.
What about the status quo?
The Ottoman population holds a certain animosity towards the colonial rule. It's been this way since we took over the island. General Ridley made concessions with their leaders, but I'm afraid we are still teetering on the edge of open hostility.
What does Mycroft want me to do? Retrieve the blackmail material?
No, sir, nothing of the sort. Mark Ridley is meeting the blackmailer atop the old city bridge tower. You shall observe from a distance, then establish the blackmailer's identity. Do not attempt to arrest him. We'll handle it from there.
Saving the best for yourself? Fine.
There's a cafe just over the bridge that provides a good vantage point. Please report to me when you are done. I'll be waiting for you here, and remember, discretion is of the essence.
It's in here. No.
It's a bizarre object, and yet oddly familiar.
Did you just remember something?
Yes. A room full of curiosities and artifacts. I think I can find it in the manor.
Sherlock. So, you continue to pursue the imaginary. I had hoped you might have got all this out of your system by now.
Mycroft, what are you doing here? Get out of my house.
It's my house, actually. I've come to bring you back.
I have no interest in returning, let alone with you. I know you lied about Mother all these years, claiming she was merely ill, but she was unstable. She never had tuberculosis. She was not recuperating, but mentally deteriorating, and you never once thought to tell me. How dare you?
I shall not indulge this petulant tantrum. You can just tire yourself out and then slink back to London with your tail between your legs.
Just tell me everything. I'm an adult now. Show me the basic courtesy of an explanation. You know I will find out eventually.
The goal was stability, and that's what you got. The right thing for everyone was to try and move on from her passing.
The consequences of one's actions determines what is right or wrong.
Yes, exactly. The ends justify the means. After leaving Cordona, Sherlock, you had a normal childhood. In London, I was able to support you, guide you, shape you into a fine and productive young man. You have so much potential, so much to offer society.
But that's not the end. Now I found the truth, and it has shattered everything I knew about her, about you, and about myself. I feel unstable because of you. Your actions were not justified. Lying never is.
Oh, grow up, Sherlock. It was a white lie which has as much use in the realm of the interpersonal as the international. It is time you come to accept that some things are bigger than yourself.
Oh, you are full of it. You like to pretend you care about the big picture, but it's just an ego trip. You like knowing more than others. You like greasing palms and rubbing shoulders with the rich and powerful. You like having eyes and ears everywhere. The fact it helps the nation is incidental, because all you care about is yourself.
It's true. I have agents everywhere, including Cordona. If you weren't so damn stubborn, you'd realize that means I'm only here for you.
Okay, let's just go in the manor.
I remember returning home with a pair of perfect sticks. We wanted to turn them into training swords.
Oh, that's right. We stood there, frozen, staring at something huge in the main hall. It was a giant aquarium with a living mermaid in it.
Impossible. It must have been something else. Oh, of course, that mortifying hoax presently taking up space in our front yard.
Well, fine. Your memory's better than mine. But I'm sure we started examining it immediately. And someone else was around too.
It was my mother. She asked what I thought of the artifact.
You were really concentrating and holding something in your hand.
I inspected it with a magnifying glass and was able to confirm it was made of two different skeletons. The mermaid was a fake.
And so it was time to smash the thing. Your mother took a hammer and...
Slow down, John. That's not how it happened. I remember other people joined us. The workers took the artifact and placed it into the cabinet of curiosities. It became part of Mother's collection of fakes. She always said that the truth lies in the details. This mermaid helped me to learn that.
Oh, I matches for that.
Ah, yes. My mother's studio. She was an authenticator, and this was her cabinet of curiosities.
I never saw the point. What does it matter if some artifact is real or not? It still exists.
Another fake Holy Grail. Its owner claimed to be the heir of King Arthur. Scarcely believable. He also insisted a deadly rabbit was hunting him. Watkinson and Holman, Chapter 1, by Wallace de Orham.
Oh, Mycroft. He always acts so serious, but then reads tripe like this.
John, if I remember correctly, you couldn't put this book down. I remember this cozy blanket. It was perfect for...
Wigwam! Oh, that was a joy to build them. Imagining ourselves as wayfarers on the other side of the world.
So many calling cards. Mycroft liked to keep useful people at hand. Reliable and driven. I recognize Mycroft's handwriting. Officer Luciano J. Placido. Carefully opened. Dated 24th of April, 1869.
Cordona City Hall. Damn. Alright, one more.
This drawer was always closed. Only Mycroft knew how to open it.
I remember we tried to break it open and spy on it, but alas, had no success. Maybe today's the day. Oh, Sherry.
(1852), Bingley, West Yorkshire. This photo caused a lot of fuss. My mother spent some time to prove it was a fake.
Look, it's Roger. This jolly old man's well preserved. Even looks refreshed.
I doubt he drew much interest at the auction.
That's for the best. I'd be upset if he fell into the wrong hands.
The so-called mummy of a Persian princess. The defrauders did good work, but missed one small detail. It's the mummy of a man.
Ew, that's disturbing.
And this one was brought from a German museum. They claimed it belonged to Vikings. Nonsense, of course. Vikings never had horns on their helmets.
Oh yeah, that's true. Actually, wait, do they have helmets? I think Vikings don't have those. Okay.
Clearly, it was deliberately torn. Wonder why someone would do that. The Tulpa. Studies in Tibetan Mentalism. An impressive number of bookmarks. Someone was rather obsessed with this subject.
2 more. I'm not gonna read all this, I'm just gonna do it when I'm editing. Okay.
The full plate armour of Sir Robert Saunford. I was told my father won it in a wager.
Armour is armour, but look at his sword. Oh, how badly I wanted to wield the blade. Maybe you take it instead of your pistol.
I'm starting to remember something.
Last one.
Mother said this was among the hunting trophies of a Scottish Viscount.
So he tried to persuade everyone that his forest was inhabited by these beasts. It would have been thrilling if it were actually true.
One of the most ridiculous fakes I ever saw. Its owner insisted it was a polar bear. He thought the white paint on the brown fur wasn't noticeable.
Something popped up earlier, I believe. Or was it just... Oh my gosh, so many. Spent my childhood at that. daughter's home. Stunning new art gallery. So what is... So what do I do with this one? What was that? Or something? Oh, yes.
I used this ladder to look at the top shelf, right? On the day of Mother's breakdown upstairs.
Right you are, Sherry.
So...
We heard a noise. I can't recall of exactly what. And we didn't have a great view from behind the statue. Books and papers from the table somehow ended up on the floor. Now it's coming to the surface. I feel it.
Oh, not this crap. Alright. We had decided to play with the new art. I used a ladder, reached on the top shelf. There was a sudden noise. From behind the statue, the papers and books from the roof. Okay. Let's do that. Alright, let me read it again. Now, why would you do that? Alright, last one. The bookshelf is on the floor. I think that one.
You're not even trying, Sherry. Concentrate.
There we go.
Come on, Sherry. Let's go outside. Wait. Did you hear that? Come here, Sherry.
You call this progress? Charlatan, amateur. I'm not letting you anywhere near my mother again.
So there was a quarrel between them.
Let's see. Should this other player covenant swear as a result became not that Strasbourg was angry. Okay.
I heard a noise in the hall. Let's check it out. Sherry, look! We've got a parcel here. Hurry up and let's see what's inside.
Kurt, something mentioned on that I crossed him, okay. VV sent you the appropriate outfits.
An invitation that comes with a mask. We can't miss this, Sherry.
I want to see what this this about? Which cabinet?
When you're finished here, can we build a wigwam from the blankets? Like in the good old days?
Which cabin is it? I don't know.
Ah, the memory comes back. We snuck about watching him.
He closed the drawer and went to the hall. We were like two shadows crawling behind him.
So... Oh, to follow this.
He opened the door to the postman, and they exchanged documents. If it was a real postman, of course. The painting on the wall was slightly at tilt. He stopped and straightened it. Then he threw some logs into the fire and sat in his armchair to read.
It's as boring now as it was then. I'm sorry, Sherry, but I think that's it.
Wait, John, we never use the fireplace in the mornings. What if... I think this is what we're looking for.
Tiny key.
A bit of juniper in the fireplace created a soothing atmosphere. It's the little things, isn't it?
Alright, now go back to the room and open the drawer.
We made it. So what's there?
Gifted by Queen Victoria herself. Single malt whiskey, Mycroft's favourite. Otto Richter. This one is rather thick. Mycroft can be truly dogged in his research.
He's 45 years old, born to... okay. Nasia Cordona.
Dossiers on the most influential people on Cordona. Mycroft always had a habit of building files on everyone he met.
Alright, that's it. Okay, postman arrived, sure. Born to that, parents died. Okay. I'm not gonna do that chest thing. Bottle containing resin, unknown substance. Which bottle is it? Alright, anyways, this one. Oh yeah, I have to change the wardrobe. Wait. I don't know what I think I haven't seen this one before and this one, so that has to be the freaking outfit. Cardona Abbey, Northern Grand Surrey. Where's that? I know it's somewhere over here. Founders Square. Where? Kurt. Cardona Abbey. Legacy Theater. Oh, so this is right here. On Turquoise Glen across from Kurt on. Okay. Maybe right here. That's right, right? Something Lynn. Has to be this one.
Welcome to the Manchos mansion.
And you're in.
Welcome, sir. I do hope you enjoy yourself.
Enjoy the evening, sir. There is still plenty of time before the grand finale.
All right.
What if I...
Sherlock! Friend! I wasn't sure you'd come.
Werner, I see you are not yourself.
The more time you spend here in Cordona, the more I feel it my duty to bring you into our world and show you all we have to offer.
And what is on offer today?
Pleasure, indulgence, relief, and relaxation. You've earned some time for yourself, have you not?
Those who know me would say I'm incapable of it.
Nonsense. I refuse to believe there is anyone permitted to know Sherlock Holmes.
Huh. You may be right.
Then free yourself from inhibition and expectation. The night is young, and so are the guests. You should try to enjoy both. It's not healthy for handsome men to spend every night alone, and certainly not in a house filled with such melancholic memories.
I must admit, my travels have proven more taxing than expected. I'm less confident in my life and myself. Time of relaxation seems a distant dream.
So can I tempt you with a physical aid to your moral consolations? There's wine, of course, and something to smoke, or perhaps an artificial paradise? Yes, something more spiritual, a potentiator to sharpen the mind. A 7% solution of, well, that'd be telling, but you must try it.
My mind is my most valuable asset, and a finely tuned instrument I will not risk impeding its function. My ultimate duty is to provide the world with truth, and I do that perfectly well as is.
Duty? You've never cared about that before.
Of course I do. Exposing a lie, revealing a fact, that is a moral responsibility.
That's not morality. Morals are what happens afterwards when truth collides with consequence. Do you ever follow up on cases you solved? Do you ever see what happened next, visit the victims, ensure justice is served in the courts? And how do you choose where to direct your attention? Are there not deserving causes to which your brilliance could be applied but isn't?
You ascribe me more power than I possess. I have a narrow skill set and work within that mandate. What occurs afterward is irrelevant.
With every action or inaction, you place a finger on the scales of morality. Many in the city would see you as abdicating your responsibility.
I haven't.
Not me, of course. Morality is subjective, just like truth. There is little to be gained from indulging in it, and far better things to indulge in. Now I must insist on easing any burdens I've placed upon your shoulders. Show yourself a kindness, and try this rather delectable concoction.
I am perfectly capable of coping with myself without medical assistance.
Then I shall press you on it no further. But please do not refuse my gift. Take it with you as a souvenir of this special night.
Souvenir of what, exactly? But, all right, if only to put the matter to bed.
And now, our evening begins in earnest. I just remembered. I'm sorry, Sherlock. My mind's delightfully impaired. Please take this key. It opens the altar room. past the library.
Pardon? Altar room? What now, Werner?
Go quickly and find our Fabio. Only you can make him talk. I'll join you in a minute.
My God. Was he here this whole time?
Oh, that's disturbing.
The herbs here are Salvia divinorum. They have a slight hallucinogenic effect to emphasize the ceremony. This elaborate box must be for the ritual dagger. This oil has a slight aroma of flowers and olive. The ointment smells mouse-like. I presume it is an aphrodisiac prepared from a Spanish fly.
It's back over here.
This one looks like a twisted symbol of Venus drawn in a hurry. A blunt force trauma may have suffered an internal hemorrhage. This crude tattoo partially covers a slave branding. This golden handle has a bloodstain on it. The dagger is heavy and sharp, but lacks balance. The wound is deep. A precise strike reached the heart. This worm-like sigil has been drawn with his own blood. The victim has clenched the fabric so firmly in his fist that it's nigh impossible to remove it. He died right here.
Where you come from? The fuck?
Werner, care to explain what is going on here?
On nights like these, it's not unusual for some attendees to get a little exuberant. It's part of the appeal. Unfortunately, it appears things have gotten out of hand. Yes, some are more prone to bend the rules of morality.
That's murder. I doubt there's anything left to bend. Why did you not tell me immediately? We were chatting about trivial matters for some time.
If I'm completely honest, Sherlock, I've consumed a rather potent cocktail of substances. My attention slips and drifts. But I'm glad I thought to call for you.
You sent me a disguise.
Oh dear, did I? Well, since I found the body, Mr. Manchios has agreed that you can investigate the matter. I promise my mind will behave itself going forward.
All right. Pull yourself together, Werner. Mr. Manchios is the owner of the manor, yes?
And the host of Cordona's most memorable parties. He promises even the ugliest guest a partner for the night. And for the ones with more unconventional tastes, Mr. Manchios provides other services.
What a caring person.
You cannot begin to imagine.
How did you discover the body? In between guzzles of alcohol?
I was set to perform in a fecundity rite with Fabio and came to inquire further. It was a staged ritual where he was to play the principle of life.
And the rehearsal was unsuccessful?
Who knows? I found him alone on the altar, his blood dripping to the floor.
And then?
Then I called Mr. Manchios. He was panicking, so I told him about you. We left the room and locked the door. Then, we were...
Filling time?
Waiting for you was stressful. We indulged in some simple comforts. Overindulged, perhaps.
Were you well acquainted with Fabio, the victim?
Everyone knew Fabio, or wanted to. His beauty was the talk of the island. Too handsome to go unnoticed. He was magnetic. Fat wallets fought for the privilege of having him. He offered the pleasures of performance, and more.
The police remain unaware of this tragic event?
Some of them may be hiding behind their masks. They conceal many things. But we didn't want the authorities to create more problems. Besides, after a few cocktails, their incompetence will have soared to new heights.
How do you know I even want the case?
I promised you relaxation. If there's one thing I know about you, Sherlock, it's that nothing soothes you more than a good mystery.
What about the fertility ritual? There was something about Fabio being a principle of life.
Fabio was supposed to portray the beauty of life's origin. Flowers, oil... Not this travesty that seems straight out the Inquisition.
So this ritual is not the fertility rite. What was it meant to look like?
It begins with a woman lying naked in a flower bed on the altar. She represents Gaia, the earth. As I cover her in oils, we chant for the principle. As our calls reach a climax, Fabio enters and copulates with her. After he finishes, I stab her with a dagger. That part's just pretend, of course.
But the intercourse is not?
I did not expect you to be such a prude. Are you a virgin? It is nothing to be ashamed of, but it would explain the color of your cheeks. The fertility rite marks the start of our festivities. The principle of life is beautiful, intimate, essential. It must not be stopped.
Yet it appears that someone did stop it. What about the naked woman? Can you tell me anything about her?
Oh yes, Matista. She's one of Fabio's compatriots and a performer too. I haven't seen her today, actually.
When you discovered the body, was the door open?
No, it was locked. Oh, that reminds me. It's a minor detail, but the first time I came to speak to Fabio, I left without entering, having been unable to open the door.
You didn't have the key?
No, I had it. Don't look at me like that. I was mostly sober. I suspect there was a key in the other side of the door, blocking the lock.
That detail may very well be major, Werner. Well done. So you returned later only to find the lock was not blocked?
Correct. After an hour had passed, I tried again and was able to unlock the door. That's when I discovered poor, handsome Fabio.
Okay. So many other rooms here. Sheesh.
Similar to the guests' robes, apart from the bloodstains. Props, decorations, and tools for a more detailed set. Handcrafted and luxurious cufflinks. There's also a note. For my Fabio, Banchos.
Would you recognize me in one of these? I suppose not.
What am I missing? I just saw it.
The capital F on the key fob might refer to Fabio. The key is similar to the one that Vogel gave me. This is a different ritual.
How can anyone accept such behaviour?
A useful tool for a disguise arsenal.
So much to investigate. This is crazy.
The pitcher is empty, but with puddles around it. Blood clots are adhered to the sides of the drain. Identical to the robes the guests are wearing. Props, decorations, and tools for a more detailed set.
Alright, this room is done.
Enough cigars to burn down the entire mansion. Why don't people tidy up after themselves? Blood. A sturdy bottle met a not-so-sturdy human. It didn't break only because it was unopened. An open wound spoiled the carpet. A person leaned against the doorframe. They left a smudged trail of blood. A bloody handprint on an armchair. The wounded person was here for some time. There appear to be no further traces leading to the altar.
So, Sherry, do you have any ideas about the case?
Perhaps, perhaps. I think I can deduce what happened here.
Oh boy. I think that's right. Yes.
The bottle was used as a weapon during a scuffle in the smoking lounge. Then, to ensure no one would interrupt, the murderer locked the door. The unconscious body of the victim was moved to the altar room. Once the body was on the altar, the murderer thrust the dagger into the victim's heart. Symbols were drawn with the blood. The wardrobe was used to hide the bloodied robe from anyone's eyes. The killer washed himself and took a clean robe from the hanger before leaving.
Are you all right? You're on the floor, not moving.
I think I know what happened here. I'm starting to put the pieces together.
Fabio was stabbed.
I see nothing gets past you, Werner. Yes, he was stabbed, but only after being knocked out in the next room and placed here. I do not yet know why.
So, who's responsible?
Well, it was one person working alone, and the murderer has now donned a robe. He or she could be hiding in plain sight. We have lost time, Werner, but your discretion may prove to be a benediction after all. The murderer had to have access to this room. After the crime, he used his own key to lock the door. So, who had the key to the altar room?
I'm not sure. As a special guest, I was provided one by Mr. Manchios. He should be able to tell you of any others.
Where can I find him?
Most likely in the main hall, entertaining his guests. He has a mask with golden stars. You can't miss him. But please be discreet. We don't want to risk disturbing the revelry.
Alright. Golden mask, huh?
Sure.
Kurt Manchios, I presume. I'm Sherlock Holmes.
Oh, you must be the one Werner told me about. What a sweet voice you have. It must belong to a handsome young man. Can I call you Sherlock?
As you wish, Mr. Manchios. Mr. Vogel asked me to help you. The body in the altar room requires answers, and quickly. I suspect the murderer to still be here.
What? Lower your voice. I don't want anyone to hear us.
I need to find all those who had the key to the altar room. As far as I know, Mr. Vogel, Fabio, and you had access to it. Is that correct?
That is correct, yes. Also, Matista and Santos.
Santos? Who is that?
Santos Pinchetti, my major domo. In his opinion, at least.
I'd like to speak to Mr. Pinchetti and Matista. Do you have somewhere I might have a private conversation with them?
Of course, of course. Let me think. Matista is entertaining the guests somewhere, and Santos... Oh, yes. He will be busy with the servants. Or the cook. What's that noise? What's going on? Freeze, filth. You're under arrest.
Oh, he's even top of a fountain.
Committed a crime, and now I have to free you, kiss your hand, and apologize for the inconvenience, Your Grace.
I did tell you that Mr. Vogel and I were innocent. I emphasized it in my statement.
Your statement? Thanks to some bigwigs who work for the so-called good of the country by releasing fleas like you. Thank God we have Vogel in this letter. Once I get to that goldfish, I'll...
Bigwig? Oh, my wretched brother Mycroft and his long nose.
Wait, did you say Mycroft? Mycroft Holmes? Are you the youngest son of Violet Holmes, rest her soul?
Is there something wrong with that? Do you know something about her?
I was working on the paperwork of her case while you still had milk on your lips.
Would you happen to remember anything of the events?
Well, I didn't make the inquiry, but I remember seeing some notes. Why?
You must help me. It would mean a great deal to me if you could find any information about that day.
Huh. Got you hooked, right? You know what? Stark and the others think they're the smartest here, thanks to you. Let me get this straight. Are you listening to me, lad?
I'm all ears.
Take this case. Report to me only, to Constable Harvey Oswald. I'll leave everything I have on this table. Find the murderer. Be a real copper. Question the suspects, make them sing, give me something substantial.
And if Mr. Vogel is not a suspect?
If he's innocent, then you can take your favourite degenerate away from here. If you slip or mess with the evidence, then trust me, your brother won't save you from my bludgeon. Meanwhile, I'll be checking the archive for you. If anybody asks, then you're a consulting detective.
Let's make a start then, partner.
That easy, huh?
We should have listened to the guests there. Now I have nothing to write about.
I don't really care about the pet challenge. Oh my god, there's so much.
Back on track to solve the case.
Case number 6260.
Look, I found Werner.
Werner, are you all right?
Oh, yes, yes. Everything's fine. In fact, it's something of a family reunion. My brother spent quite some time in this place himself.
You should not be here. I told the police everything I knew, but they refused to let you go. They require proof to free you.
Ha! What did you expect? The mighty Sherlock Holmes swans in, tells the officers what to think, and the world obeys?
Of course not. Anyway, I struck a deal with the constable, and I've got a free hand in the investigation. I find proof to solve the case for him. He obtains files about my mother's death for me.
Well done. If one has the power or will and can act, then one must. I wonder, suppose you couldn't get the proof to your truth. Would you tell a lie to the guard that enabled my freedom, knowing my innocence? Would that not be just?
There are lines I will not cross, Werner. I will do my best to secure your release, but with proof, not deception.
Really? How many white lies have you told on this island? Why not for me? Why not another?
That is absurd. I can resolve this without compromises. Do not give up hope.
Actually, before I do that,
Let me see what I can do about all this.
let me try find this guy. Oh, actually. these, really. There we go.
Good day, Mr. Manchios. I am Constable Oswald's partner in this investigation.
Be quick and gentle. Some of your colleagues are untrained boors. Although I don't mind meeting young officers. The new blood here.
If you cooperate in finding Fabio's murderer, there will be no need to meet with the boars again.
That voice. Werner's friend? You're the policeman. What a disappointment.
Only an undercover agent can scour a ditch full of deviants. I am a consulting detective, although I'm capable of replacing the entire department through my consultations.
Sharp-tongued, I like it. May I presume this tongue will get us out of this trouble? I would be so indebted and glad to repay you.
Nothing's changed. I'm looking for the murderer. That's the only way to get us out of trouble.
But it shouldn't take much time, correct? We're all busy, after all.
I need to examine you first.
Rogue. Okay. Red spots. Soap under fingernails. This one.
You are a little over the top with your use of makeup, Mr. Manchios. Is it so difficult for you to acknowledge your age?
Well, Sherlock, that's easy for you to say to an old man when you look as though you are barely 15.
But still, it shouldn't be an issue for someone of your status.
For people of my age, it isn't an issue, no. But the younger ones can be so afraid of wrinkles and grey flecks. I have to adapt.
Such a methodical man who cares for his body but misses the soap under his fingernails. Are you so impatient, or perhaps even impulsive?
I wouldn't call myself that. Silly little details. If I missed it, it wasn't important. Or rather, it was less important than who or what I was focused on.
I'm just gonna ask him everything before I prove evidence.
What was Fabio like? His personality, his habits? Anything you can tell me?
He was the brightest star of my parties. Young, magnetic, and full of energy. I don't even want to mention his beauty. Otherwise, I'll be sobbing.
An expensive champion, I imagine.
His performances were flawless. He deserved his payment. Do you think he was murdered because of money?
Possibly. What about the other guests? Were they used to opening their wallets as well?
I wouldn't restrict my guests from anything. I'm sure Fabio received a few coins from others for his services.
Mr. Vogel told me a little about your parties, but I would like to know more directly from you.
I'm all yours, Sherlock. You have me arrested and locked here with you alone.
Why did you invite Mr. Vogel as your special guest?
He's a pretty fellow. He's capable of surprising the public. He has a talent for saying words that no one else would wish to either say or hear.
I suppose I can't argue with that.
He is a free addition to the eccentricity of the party, which is fine by me, as long as it enhances my party.
I'd like to know who you usually invite to your parties.
Free minds who are able to leave reality for an evening, who can taste forbidden fruit without prejudice. There is nothing that quite spices up life like these parties, assuming one is old enough and has worked many years for the good of one's country.
Oh, all true labourers, I see.
Alright. Proof evidence.
That's not something I know much about. You'd better ask someone else. That's not something I know much about. You'd better ask someone else.
Oh, that's all of them. I have
I've
to.
no idea about that.
Do you have any idea who tipped off the police to raid your mansion, Mr. Manchios?
Of course. It was you. I could even say you Sherlocked me in here.
A good guess, but the wrong one. The fellow who did that was Mr. Pinchetti, your major domo.
What? Santos? But how could he even know? If he's not the murderer himself. The ungrateful swine. He has dared to besmirch my reputation.
Not a very eloquent choice of words.
What should I call him then, since he's a snitch? Make him talk, Sherlock. I'm quite certain he knows more about the murder than he has told the police. I've no idea about that. You'd better ask someone else. You'd better ask someone else.
You bought an expensive pair of cufflinks for Fabio. Were they his price? Or were they a tip for an exclusive show?
It was pure business. Fabio escorted me a few times. I was merely showing my gratitude.
This pair cost a small fortune. You must be extremely grateful then. Tell me more.
You've thrust a knife in an exposed nerve, Sherlock. Yes, he was my protégé and my beacon also. With my experience and his beauty, we could have achieved anything. I had faith in him. I would have made him.
That's it. I don't get to ask him the other stuff.
I can't wrap my head around such a tragedy at my party.
Alright, I'm gonna talk to her now.
I'm Sherlock Holmes. I'm helping Constable Oswald. You are Matista, Fabio's friend.
This body, yes, it's Matista. But it's a mere shell that will die someday. Just like Fabio.
Fabio knew the risks. Selling his body to degenerates who hid behind robes and masks, it could not end well.
That's only your distorted understanding of safety. Officers here, they wear robes and masks too. It's a dangerous lifestyle. But it's not as though we were given many other choices.
I'm just here to ask questions and find Fabio's murderer.
It will not bring Fabio back.
Blood-filled bruises. Okay. Nervous.
Fabio and yourself were slaves, am I correct? You have a similar branding on your body.
Yes. It was a long time ago.
Couldn't help but also notice fresh cuts upon your forearms.
The cuts helped me to forget my past, to cover the old wounds and hide them.
How did you escape?
Something happened. One night the master fell down the stairs. I made him fall, and he died. We ran away that day. We managed to get on a ship and traveled here, to Cordona. Fabio and I started a new life here. It was very hard at first, but it became better with time. Until today.
The bruises on your neck are not self-inflicted. Someone else made them.
Some guests can't contain themselves. They even bite, sometimes.
Damn. That's kinda brutal. Oh my god, there's so many. Oh, Hebrews. Okay, Hebrews, sir. Each one just to make sure. Guess that one. During this. What happens if I do that or not? That. Oh, this is hard. Sheesh. Alright, prove evidence for a hit.
I'm not supposed to know anything about this. I don't think I can tell you anything about this. I can't follow you here. I can't follow you here. I don't think I can tell you anything about this. I don't think I can tell you anything about this. I can't follow you here. I'm not supposed to know anything about this.
I have learned who told the police about the crime. It was Santos Pinchetti.
Do I know him?
The major domo of the manor. He cleans up after you?
Well, then he does his job perfectly. All but invisible. I couldn't tell you the first thing about him.
That's it.
I know you can untangle this mess.
Sheesh. Let me try to ask the other guy.
I can't wrap my head around such a tragedy at my party.
I can't go back to prison.
Where's this guy? What?
This area is restricted.
I don't know where this guy went, but okay. Alright,
Have you considered Mr. Santos Pinchetti as a suspect?
The snitch? Have you seen him? I mean, my breath could knock him down. What's so special about him?
As a major domo, he has keys that open all the rooms, including the one to the crime scene. Could have testified only to circumvent suspicion, don't you think? We need to question him.
Right. I'll send our men to fetch him. Stay here. They brought him in, Mr. Holmes. Here's the key to interrogation room number 7. Mr. Pinchetti didn't even resist, our men said.
Thank you.
He's in room 7. Four, 5, 6, 7.
I recognize the key from the altar room among these.
Okay.
Mr. Pinchetti, a pleasure to meet you. I'm Sherlock Holmes. I'm helping Constable Oswald.
I've already told him everything I know. I'm only a witness, sir. Everything's in my report.
And I've read it. You forgot to mention that you hold the keys to the room where Fabio was found. I need only to find if the crime was intentional.
But I need to return to my duties.
I doubt the house will fall without you, Mr. Pinchetti. Just be still for a few seconds. You are the major domo of a rich mansion, and you seem barely able to afford decent clothing. You hide, under heavy makeup, a skin disease that might be treated with more onerous but less harmful means. Do you have money troubles?
I do not have a lot of means. The pay is below what you might expect.
But you could easily change your job if your employer does not meet your elementary needs.
One can change his employer, that is true.
And the blood on your shoe, where does that come from?
I don't actually know. Perhaps from a guest?
Thank you for your cooperation, Mr. Pinchetti.
I didn't have to do that.
Did you know Fabio?
Not personally. He was a frequent guest, and cleaning the mess after his performances was tedious. Mr. Manchios always had a role for him, and mainly the leading one. The parties were always Fabio-centric.
And Batista? Was she as popular as her partner?
Don't tell her I said this, but I do not think so. Mr. Manchios hired her only because Fabio refused to work without her. Mr. Manchios used to see her as a worker. She was tasked with entertaining the guests, unlike Fabio, who could pick and choose. Don't expect me to know anything about it.
Mr. Manchios says that you begged him to be included in the heritage. Isn't that a little extreme, even for a major domo?
He's not only my employer, he's my uncle. And I'm his next of kin. The only one. Mr. Manchios flatly refuses to pay a family member. All I have to do is repay his so-called love, cleaning up the filth after perverts and decadents. He's imprisoned me. The best I can hope for is a new broom. That's why I wanted to have my part of the inheritance.
Is it that bad? You have a roof above your head, a salary, and the status of a major domo.
For God's sake. I'm forced to dye and stitch my threadbare clothes, and the holes in my shoes are painful. I'm ashamed every time a guest looks at me closely.
Why do you think your uncle treats you this way?
My mother, my uncle's sister, had me illegitimately. She died, and I was given the surname of one of the maids.
But you are entitled to some of the money that belongs to your family.
He thinks not. I was not responsible for my mother's death. I work hard, and he pays me nothing. I feed on the leftovers. While he wastes our estate's property on decadent parties, he paid Fabio handsomely and showered him with expensive gifts for their disgusting relationship.
Okay. Where is why? Alright, that. I think there's someone else I haven't talked to.
Did you hear, Basil?
So many rooms. Shh.
Good day. Your ticket, please, if you want me to help you.
This one, right?
I'd like to check the evidence from this case.
And who are you?
Oswald sent me. I'm a consulting detective.
His partner, then? Let me see. Ah, a ritual murder. What a bunch of degenerates. Wait a second. I'll bring it to the table.
All the keys of the mansion on one golden ring.
Freaking 9. Jeez.
A heavily perfumed handkerchief with the initials KM in the corner. It's a miracle this ruby hasn't tempted anyone. A handcrafted charm that contains hair and nail clippings. Her key to the altar room. That's not for bedtime reading. This Ex Libris belongs to Manchios Library. The book describes a ritual similar to the one performed in the altar room. Werner's personal sketchbook. Not the time for privacy.
That's one.
An emergency kit for boredom. Thank you, officer.
So I can't talk to him. I'm trying to talk to him, not do that.
I'm busy. You've all used up your quota of me helping you.
Did you hear, Basil?
This letter proves nothing. Fabio wrote it to Mr. Manchios. It's time to free Mr. Vogel.
Do you really think I'm that naive? I need proof, not words from his friend.
Very well. Mr. Pinchetti told me that Mr. Manchios was lavishing Fabio with expensive and eccentric gifts. The letter mentions rich rewards and attempts to buy Fabio with them. It was written to Mr. Manchios. Who else was showering Fabio with luxuries to buy him? It doesn't fit Mr. Vogel's character.
Look here. We had a deal. Give me the murderer and then take your friend with you. I won't budge otherwise.
Well, fine, but you're just wasting time.
Continue our investigation while I look for the papers.
Let's see who else to talk to.
Is this familiar to you?
Mr. Moneybags, can I give you a piece of advice? You don't want to bother me.
You know what? Shut the fuck up, you little. We talk to everyone just in case. Just gonna make sure no one else is.
This area is restricted.
There is undeniable evidence that you were the original recipient of this letter.
What are you talking about? Is it addressed to me?
Your protege wanted a fresh start, it seems. This is sufficient to charge you.
Me? Hurt my star? Are you insane that you would accuse me of such a thing?
He did not consider himself as yours. Since you deny everything, let's move on. Do you have any idea as to how the letter could have ended up in Mr. Vogel's pocket?
You were the detective. Perhaps he took it from Fabio. Werner was a little high.
Do you recognize this book? Could Matista have borrowed it from your library?
She didn't ask me. How ungrateful.
The things described in the book were inspiration for the rituals you performed?
Do you really believe that blood, symbols, and incantations can resurrect the dead? They are just eerie tales with a mix of occultism and voodoo. My rituals are a stage to show some of the forbidden pleasures. I've no idea about that. That's not something I know much about. I've no idea about that. I've no idea about that.
I've read the letter about your will. A harsh method of ridiculing Santos. I doubt he will use mustache wax when he wears no mustache to begin with.
Where did you get it? Is the slug here? Tell him. I shouldn't have to provide for him. He's a grown man who shouldn't sit on his uncle's neck. He conceives himself as my only heir.
And who is he to you?
He's a leech on my aging body. He has only added problems to my life since the death of his mother.
I fail to see why you made him your major domo.
He needed to know his place, so I taught him. I can't wrap my head around such a tragedy at my party.
This book, The Power of Love, Blood...
Govern us. Occultism is real. The master who fell that night when Fabio and I escaped, I made him fall. I cast a spell on him and it worked.
Or was it a coincidence?
The universe is rarely so lazy.
If you say so. Could Fabio have written this letter to Kurt Manchos?
Oh. That could be. I never thought Mr. Manchos could make Fabio that angry, though.
What do you mean?
Well, Fabio wanted to disassociate from Mr. Manchos. Clients who are in love are both a blessing and a curse.
But Fabio was here tonight.
Money. In our line of work, we can't afford to turn down clients who pay as well as Kurt Manchos.
Was Fabio afraid of Mr. Manchos?
Not at all. The old toad wouldn't dare to do more than sweet talk and touching. Talk can be forgotten, and touching washed away.
Do you practice occult rituals?
For protection? For fortune? To wash away the ugliness of the world? Sometimes to survive. I have the gift, and I'm learning to use it better.
Did you use your gift on Fabio?
I only used white magic. Love charms lately. Fabio became so distant. I just wanted him to be with me, but I suppose I'm not as skilled as I thought. I know I can handle the news.
I can't wrap my head around such a tragedy at my party.
Please let me out.
So many, what the hell? Alright, last person.
I can't follow you here. I have reason to believe that the intended recipient of the incriminating letter may have been Kurt Manchos.
Well, that makes sense. Too bad I can't remember how I came to possess it. Though I did spend quite some time with Mr. Manchios during the party.
Unfortunately, even with an answer, that may still not be enough to clear you with the police. But fear not, I will persevere.
I hope your attempt to put things straight will make up for...
You being on a bender?
Touché. The air here is rather refreshing. I'd even recommend that some of my friends visit the place.
Oh boy. Yeah, I'm gonna accuse
The murder of Fabio did not have a ritual purpose, Mr. Manchios. It was staged by a man who wished to distract the investigation.
That might be true. That poor girl Matista wouldn't dare to kill the only man who cared for her. So, Santos.
Mr. Pinchetti snatched at the chance to solve his problems.
Ungrateful little scum. Will he be executed?
But what for? He informed the police as to the crime, that was all. He couldn't stage the ritual, but he found the body, I believe.
I can't believe it. Why did Werner do it?
Mr. Vogel. He had no reason, and he won't be a scapegoat as you planned. You put Fabio's letter in his pocket when he was intoxicated, didn't you?
You can't be serious.
You're at the twilight of your life. You have no partner, you have no children. You had feelings, however, for one man. That was Fabio. You loved him. That is, you wished to own him with money and gifts. But he was also a free mind, was he not? He turned his back on you. Quite unjust. Love, so cruel and painful, and Fabio, with his words and deeds, made you feel the more wretched. So you killed him.
You must surely perceive that my sensitive nature wouldn't allow me to hurt anyone.
You staged the murder as a satanic ritual. It was easy for you, since you were the one who wrote the scenarios for the parties. It was your way of avoiding suspicion. A respectable man in his 60s,
early 60s,
who hosts the cream of Cordona society, cannot possibly be a murderer. But the guests who behave like animals in his mansion, of course, one of them could have killed Fabio.
I did oversee a few of the rituals, but I did not stage Fabio's death.
We can very often deduce someone's life by their shoes or their fingernails. You are a meticulous person, but this murder was fairly traumatic and filthy. After you stabbed Fabio, you were covered in blood. You panicked and neglected to rinse the soap from under your fingernails. The devil is in the details, Mr. Manchios.
Nonsense. I missed it simply because of the busy schedule of the party.
Of course, a staged murder was certainly not planned. The young performer played with your emotions. That was painful to realize. You spent so much time and effort to be with Fabio, but he didn't respond in the way you would have liked. You wanted to be loved, but Fabio shattered your dreams. In the smoking lounge, he teased and mocked you. He wanted you to suffer by offering himself to others. The deception was unbearable. You struck him, and then you staged the ritual. You planted the letter in Vogel's pocket and attempted to set up Matista.
What poppycock? Sherlock, stop this game now.
There is no stop word, Mr. Manchios. Relax and enjoy it. I'll pass the remainder of this case to Constable Oswald. He'll know what to do with you.
I feel like my headset is gonna die soon.
I have a name for you. Kurt Manchios.
Is that so? The master of the Sabbath?
The man himself. Mr. Manchios couldn't stand to lose control over his lover. A deadly revenge that deserves a proper sentence. I have all the evidence to charge him.
A degenerate and a murderer. I'll make a name thanks to that for sure. As for my part, not everything was in place. Perhaps some documents were transferred somewhere else, but I couldn't find a trace of them. Then I remembered. The discarded document drawers where we put the lost papers or the badly labelled ones. Including the crime scene report of Violet Holmes's case. Everything I've found is on the desk here. Take it.
Your persistence has saved me.
Yeah, well, we had a deal after all. Your friend is free then. You can leave.
Good luck, Constable.
Case complete. He left at a table on the police archives. Deceased Miss Violet Holmes. Sent for autopsy.
Garden. There's a garden behind our manor. How could I forget? That's where it all happened, where it all went wrong.
Sherry, it looks like you've almost found what you wanted.
What the hell is he doing up there? Sheesh. None of these, really. There we go. She didn't drown or she drowned. I don't know. Shoot. Alright, gotta go back to the manor.
Oh, you did it, Sherlock! The case is closed and all rewards belong to the winner. Bravo!
It is merely the triumph of the truth.
Is it? No compromises? No lies? You're happy with your decisions?
It was the best decision I could obtain. The truth must be told in the way it is most acceptable.
You're making progress, Sherlock. I was right to believe in you. By the way, did you get that precious information about your mother? Oh, not that you must.
Yes, I did.
Forgive my intrusion in such a personal matter. I simply worry I'm failing to be of much help to you.
Actually, you were. For some reason, all the archives on the case had disappeared. This was a rare opportunity to obtain the impossible.
Outrageous. Perhaps someone found the truth unpleasant. Society usually rejects those who speak with too much honesty, doesn't it?
A comfortable lie is often preferred to an uncomfortable truth. Still, I believe that the latter should prevail, and I cannot remain silent.
That's quixotism at its best. Your mere truth cannot defeat institutions, systems, and power. Etiquette, religion, marriage, they're all lies told to preserve connections, love, and sanity, and it's all corruptible.
Lies destroy human dignity. How could you make a free decision without any knowledge of the truth?
Are we really free to decide anything in this world, Sherlock?
Oh, yes. It's a struggle, but yes, we can make our own decisions. That's what I fight for.
And what an endless fight it is. Will you ever give yourself a break, Sherlock? You're a walking contradiction, Sherlock. You refuse to lie to others, but constantly lie to yourself. How long until the train comes off the track? I cannot look away, but perhaps I should take a few steps back. You're an accident waiting to happen, dear. Until then, I shall bid you adieu.
Did you hear Basilio Coppello is in jail? A dead body was found in his...
Alright, I'm gonna change back to this one. Go back to Stonewood Manor.
Do exercise some restraint, Mr. Holmes. Find the whos and we'll handle the whys.
A manor all to ourselves. Can you believe it, Sherry? I have so many ideas.
I think I know where that location is. It's right. Yep, okay. That it is.
Sherry, please listen to me. Sherry.
John, I always listen to you.
You don't have to do this. You don't have to go through. I don't know what is beyond this door, but I can feel it. Buzzing, angry like a fly at the window.
I know. I can sense it too.
You locked away this memory for a reason. There is only pain here.
Pain? And truth.
You do not need to suffer either. There is so much more we can do on Cordona, so many others we can help. There is no coming back from this.
John, my animum, my brother, there is nothing more important in this moment than this truth. I know you fear for me, but my path was set long ago. I can no more step off it than I can ask the avalanche to roll back uphill.
Just... please be careful. Sherry, I love you.
Quite. Come on. We'll go together.
Is this the finale? There's no way this is the finale. Oh, I sure hope my headset can last this.
Why didn't I remember we had such a big garden?
Maybe you forgot it for your own good.
What am I supposed to look for exactly? Can't run.
Is that the raft we made together, John?
Looks more like a pile of rotten planks now.
Mother? That's from Mother's favorite tea set. What is it doing in here?
Oh, I thought.
Come here, Sherry. Hurry!
What? What am I supposed to do? Confused. Oh.
These must help calm her down.
What are you thinking about? Is everything all right? What are you thinking about? Is everything all right?
Anything else to interact? Door to your guys trying to unlock and so okay. Oh, that's different. Hear someone singing.
Don't go, Mother, wait! I remember this artifact from Mother's collection. Mother's work journal. I liked poring over the detailed pages and reading about my parents' collection.
Okay.
Here it is. We'll just borrow it for a while.
Did you hear that? Someone's coming. Let's take a peek.
You call this progress? Charlotte, amateur. I'm not letting you anywhere near my mother again.
Any result is progress, even if it is a worsening of her condition. It informs my...
No. I have made my decision. She must be sent to a legitimate medical facility. I will not let her hurt Sherlock.
What? Master Holmes, you do not understand.
That will be all. I expect you to have left the house by week's end.
Sherry, say something. Can you hear me? You're scaring me.
Sherlock, I'm here. Come closer.
Okay, this is kind of
Sherry, come here, darling.
Coming, Mother! This was for my mother, wasn't it? I remember how we came to the garden for a breath of fresh air.
Take me to my flowers, Sherry. They must already be in bloom.
As you wish, Mum.
Oh, so I'm in control of this.
I bet you missed the fresh air, didn't you?
Terribly. The sun is far brighter than I remember. But I like it.
We can walk each day from now on, if you want.
That would be wonderful. Just look at them. The stars of the earth. Even the sky must be jealous of their beauty.
Indeed. Mother, would you like to go around the water?
That would be perfect. I always wanted such a nice pond in London. It looks so peaceful.
Mycroft knew you would like it.
We should put some fish in it, don't you think?
How about some carp?
That's a nice idea. Let's visit your father's tree. It grows so fast, just like you.
We could even build a tree house in it.
Yes, Sherry. Speaking of your father, could you call him out, please?
Mom! I'm sorry. He passed away. He's gone.
No, he's not.
I'm telling the truth. Did you forget again?
No! Don't you dare say such things! You are a liar like all the others!
Mother!
Don't call me that! You aren't fooling me!
No! Mom, it hurts!
My son would never lie! Are you? Reveal yourself!
Please, stop! It's me, Sherlock!
You are not my Sherry! Give me my son, I can't stop you!
I mean, obviously I don't want to do the other one, where I blame John and myself, or myself, that I killed the mom. I'll just do this one.
Sherlock. Sherlock. Can you hear me? Come on, wake up.
Get off me.
Sherry.
You knew, and more than that, you hid it from me.
You couldn't bear the truth, Sherlock, so I shouldered it for you. I took your pain, your horror.
Otto Richter murdered my mother, and Mycroft covered it up. Whisked me away from this place, buried me in schoolwork, and left the past to rot.
And you needed a way to cope, so I helped.
You were a lie, John. A fiction. A crutch.
No, I was a friend. Sherlock, please.
Sherlock?
What?
Are you okay?
I don't know.
I told you not to come, Sherlock. Where is he?
Who?
Your friend, John.
He's beside you.
Was all this worth it? Is he worth it?
Why is he here?
I think, in his own way, he was trying to protect me. A truth I couldn't bear. But now I must face it.
Sherlock, what are you doing?
You kept me in the dark and kept your actions quiet. You enabled Richter and his untested quackery for far too long. And worse, you wanted to lock up our mother.
I wanted to give you a chance at normalcy, childhood. There was no changing what happened, no good to come of dwelling in the past.
It was lies upon lies. Otto Richter was trying to save her, but you decided he deserved to take the fall. Is that justice?
The big picture, Sherlock. The big picture. Perhaps Richter was not responsible for her fit of rage, but his treatment led inexorably to that moment. You were so fragile. I could not... I just couldn't. I chose us over him.
You know, for once I believe you. And perhaps now that the truth is out, I can actually do what you had hoped. Leave it all in the past.
Good. You have your whole life ahead of you, Sherlock. It is time you got on with it.
I was worried there for a minute, Sherry. Really worried. I didn't want to hurt you. What's so funny?
I am talking to myself, John. I think I was hurt regardless.
But we made a good team, eh? Explored every inch of this place together. Helped a lot of people. Terrorized a few too, I suppose. I think I may go so far as to say, Sherry, that I have not lived wholly in vain.
So that's it. It's over.
You've opened every door, Sherry. Faced the past you locked away. You don't need me anymore.
I know. But I will miss you all the same. I don't want you to go.
Yes, you do.
Goodbye, John.
So John was in his imagination the whole time. Okay, that makes sense.
Why are you here?
Closure, I suppose. And to help a friend.
You and I are not friends. In a race between the thawing of the ice caps and our friendship, I would buy a boat.
Ha! Is that right?
I can see it now. I know what you did.
What did I do?
You needled me. From the moment we met, you were searching for weakness. You pushed me to pursue the truth about my mother. You questioned everything I did, everything I believed, to break me. To blur truth and fiction, reality, morality. A saboteur in silk. Was it vengeance, Werner? Or do you prefer Klaus?
Excuse me?
You are Klaus Richter, Otto's younger brother. Do you hold me responsible for his end?
Ha! There was no love lost between me and my brother. I am sure you can relate. Otto was merely the gravity that pulled me into your orbit. Or you into mine. Once I met you, I could not keep away.
Then why? What reason do you have for all this?
To help you.
You're lying.
To show you that you were wrong.
More lies. I know you now, Werner. Try again.
To see what had happened. Or is that yet another untruth? Does it matter? Take your pick. Who cares? You're my masterpiece. I turned Sisyphus into Ozymandias. You could not see the futility of your quest until I helped you to let go of the rock. And now, nothing beside remains.
I remain. Despite you, and to spite you.
It is a matter of will and power now. Will you overcome this, or shall you decay? Oh, on that note, I brought you something.
I want nothing more from you.
When one wants for nothing, Sherlock, the best thing to get them is something personal. So, here you are. Now, please excuse me, but the gallery calls. I'm already conceiving my next project. You really are beautiful.
My brother returned to London soon after our disagreement. He enrolled at Cambridge University, but attends only the rare classes that hold his interest. I hear he took employment at a hospital laboratory, obsessing over his experiments. I suppose he seeks solace in the empirical truth of a chemical test. I am afraid for him. His evenings are spent alone, solving citizens' menial mysteries to pass the time. And I suspect he is growing paranoid. One of my agent's vehicles recently ignited during a surveillance operation. She was lucky to get out alive. There is only one man who could orchestrate such a feat. Or perhaps two. I saved my brother. He will never forgive me.
I found it! I found it!
And what is that?
Hey, Sherry.
How far, bruises may be produced after death? How are you? You have been in Afghanistan, I perceive.
How on earth did you know that?
Never mind. The question now is about bruising. No doubt you see the significance of this discovery of mine.
It is interesting, no doubt, but practically...
Why, it is the most practical medico-legal discovery for years. Had we these data sooner, hundreds of men would have paid the penalty for their crimes. Cases oft hinge upon how a man died. Now, we can know which wounds he suffered alive, which occurred post-mortem, and what instrument was responsible. And ergo, one will soon be able to calculate with utmost precision when and where death occurred, sparing the innocent and damning the guilty.
Then you are to be congratulated.
Indeed. But, you came here on business?
Correct again. I am looking for someone with whom to take diggings, and heard you were complaining that you could get no one to go halves with you.
I have my eye on a suite in Baker Street, which would suit us down to the ground. You don't mind the smell of strong tobacco, I hope?
I smoke ships myself.
That's good enough. I get in the dumps at times, and don't open my mouth for days on end. Just let me alone, and I'll soon be right. What have you to confess now? It's best for two fellows to know what bruises each other carries before they begin to live together. My last companion and I...
Well, I object to rows because my nerves are shaken, and I get up at all sorts of ungodly hours, and I am extremely lazy. I have another set of vices when I'm well, but those are the principal ones at present.
Do you include violin playing in your category for rouse?
It depends on the player. A well-played violin is a treat for the gods. A badly played one.
Oh, no, that's all right. I think we may consider the thing as settled. Oh, forgive my manners. My attention wavers. Sherlock Holmes.
Dr. John Watson.
John.
Huh. Interesting. Alright, a few things. First of all, the painting that that guy gave Sherlock Holmes was kinda in a way. Secondly, so in the ending, that was John, the real John, not the John who was in his mind the whole time. So since there is 4 different endings, I might get the other 3 endings in, like, in the video, sure. So, and also lastly, it took me 4 streams to, you know what, skip this. Anyways, it took me 4 streams to complete this game. For a game like this is pretty long. I think the total is like 6 hours to complete, or more, depending on the side missions you do. The investigation in this game is pretty good. The combat I like, because you unarm them pretty much, and the investigation, it's kind of annoying with that puzzle thing that you have to like either do in order or like, you know. I saw there's DLCs for this, but I'm not sure how to do that yet. I'm not sure how to do it in this game, since most games I do the DLCs for every stream. So alright, that's it for tonight. Gonna just rest until tomorrow for work. So tomorrow I might stream early, maybe Siege, PUBG, whichever. So alright, peace out, take it easy.